And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we'll get into talking about my power rankings for this week, my top 5 teams after week 4. So a couple things, more Davante Adams stuff. So Boomer Esiason, who's kind of been all over the Davante Adams trade rumors, he said that Davante Adams wants to reunite with Aaron Rodgers and sees the Jets making a trade by next week. This is 2 hours ago on his morning show on WFAN in New York. And then Adam Schefter said Davante Adams would like to play with the quarterback he knows. So it's either Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. That could be another potential fit right there, is with the Saints. So, could be the Jets. Could be the Jets. So we'll see. I mean, I hope it is the Jets, again, because I would like to see Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams play together, because they were very special. They were one of the best quarterback-wide receiver duos for a long time, and I would like for that to continue at least for one more year. So, yeah, so I wanted to bring that up. So maybe he goes to the Jets, and if it happens, we'll talk about it. So let's get into this top 5 now, shall we, to end off the show here. So it has changed since last week based off of some of the things that have happened, some of the things that transpired over the weekend. So let's get into it. So at the number 5 spot, the Buffalo Bills. All the way down from 1, dropped down to 5. And again, I was going over it last night, and I was saying I can't just knock the Bills completely out of the top 5 after, that rough game against the Ravens where just nothing went right for them. So, I was between them and the Buccaneers, and I said, you know what? I'm going to keep the Bills here at the 5. I'm not going to completely drop them out of the top 5. Even if I was doing top 10, I mean, they wouldn't have dropped out of the top 10. They'd still be in the top 10. But I'm going to still put them at 5. This was just a bad week for them. It's not like they lost to an inferior opponent. The Ravens are a really good team when they're actually clicking on all cylinders. Got a good defense. You saw what Derrick Henry did to start off the game. Derrick Henry has tormented them in some games over the years, and that continued. Just nothing went right for the Bills. Defensively, maybe the defense got a little bit exposed going up against the Ravens, because you look at the opponents that the Bills went against, the Cardinals, against the Jaguars, against the Dolphins, and Tua, threw 3 picks to them, and look at how the Dolphins are playing. I know without Tua, but still, you kind of think, okay, maybe, they were kind of playing a little over their heads, at least defensively. But, I don't want to overreact. The Bills, I still think, are a really good team, and it looks like it's going to come down between them and the Jets, for the AFC East. So, I still got them at number 5. I'm not completely jumping off the bandwagon with the Bills just because of one bad week. And again, it was against a very good team. But now they go up against the Texans, who's another good team. And let's see what they do there. Let's see if they bounce back. Number 4, I got the Lions. I was impressed by their victory against the Seahawks. I mean, that was a team that's kind of owned them the last few years. I mean, the defense did give up a lot of points. I mean, a lot of that came because of penalties in some cases. But, I think this is a very good Lions team. Jared Goff, 18 of 18. In this game, had a receiving touchdown. This team, they look really good. They look like, after this game here against the Seahawks, they look like maybe they're hitting their stride. I mean, you saw the running game with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery making plays and scoring touchdowns. Jameson Williams, another long touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to produce. This Lions team is really good. And, like I said, maybe this is the game where they hit their stride and they get it rolling offensively. Because, the running game's been good. It's just the passing game's kind of been a little lackluster at times with Jared Goff. Jared Goff hasn't been great, but, right now they're 3-1, and they look really good. They look really good after this game. And let's see if that continues. I believe, do they go on who do they play this week? They take on, I think it might be the bye week, but I could be wrong. The Lions, they will be taking on the bye week. That's right. So, yeah, they're on a bye. But, like I said, I was impressed by their win. I mean, and the Seahawks are a good team. Seahawks, like I said, have always given them problems. But, yeah, no, they played well there. And, yeah, we'll see them after the bye week. But I got them at number 4. At number 3, I got the Ravens. Going up against the Buffalo Bills, who was really the hottest team in the NFL coming in, and what they were able to do, shut down Josh Allen in that offense. Derrick Henry, another big game from him. Lamar Jackson, did what he was supposed to do, of course. I mean, this team looks like they're another one that's hitting their stride. And you could look at this team, they're 2-2, could very easily be 4-0. Or at the very least 3-1. And they almost blew that lead against the Cowboys, but they were able to hold them off. But they pretty much dominated that game, and they dominated this game. This game, they put together a full game. Not a half, not 3/4. They put together a full game. There were times where it looked like, oh, maybe the Bills are going to come back here. Because the Bills did that to the Ravens a couple of years ago, where the Ravens dominated, and then the Bills came back. I thought, is this going to be the moment here? Is it going to be this moment? Where is it? Never happened. Ravens were in control of this game from start to finish, and got to give them a lot of credit. And like I said on the recap on Monday, Derrick Henry is a difference maker in this offense. Last year, you had Gus Edwards, you had Justice Hill, and Justice Hill has done a nice job so far. But going out and getting Derrick Henry, that was one of the best moves of the offseason. And these last couple of games, he has played really well. And he's a 30-year-old running back. And he still looks like he's still got plenty of gas left in the tank. I mean, he showed that on the first play of the Ravens drive, 87 yards to the house. So they got to ride the king. That's what they got to do. I mean, you would like to see the Ravens be better at throwing the football as well. Because the passing game, I talked about it earlier with Devontae Adams. You got to say Flowers is a good player. And I'm not saying the receiving core is bad, but it's not good. They need another playmaker there. And Mark Andrews really hasn't gotten it going this year. Isaiah Likely had a big week 1, but hasn't really done anything since. But listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If they're going to be a running team, that's their identity, you keep doing that. And Lamar Jackson doesn't turn the ball over. He takes off with it when he has to. This is what the Ravens style is running the football and playing good defense. So I was very impressed by that win. So I got him at 3. At number 2, it's because of week 1. Part of the reason is because of week 1, why I got them at 2, defeating the Ravens. But I got the Chiefs. I mean, right now, they're one of the unbeaten teams left. But they haven't looked great. Patrick Mahomes has continued to turn the football over. The defense, there's some holes in that defense. And the injuries, too, are starting to pile up. You're already without Isaiah Pacheco, Marquise Brown, at least for the regular season. Rashee Rice, still nothing official yet, but he could be out for the year. So you're kind of thin at receiver again, like you were last year. So, they're 4-0, but it's not a pretty 4-0. But you got to give them the respect and put them at 2. And like I said, at some point, they will lose a game. It's going to happen. Came very close pretty much every single week. Every single week. It's been a one-score game. The Ravens was a one-score game. Ravens, they thought they were potentially going for 2 to win the game against them. They beat the Bengals at the buzzer. Falcons were driving to maybe win at the end. The Chargers, they were up 10-0. The Chiefs have not looked great, but you know what? They find a way to win games, so you got to give them credit. But it hasn't looked great so far. But you know what? They got to be in the top 5. They're undefeated. They've been there. They've won that. And, we'll see what happens this week. They take on the Saints on Monday night, which should be an interesting game. Derek Carr facing off against a former AFC West rival. But, yeah, the Chiefs, they have not looked great, but they're 4-0. And Travis Kelce's going to have to be more of a factor now with some of the injuries. They got him going this past game. Xavier Worthy's going to have to step up. Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, Sky Moore, all those guys are going to have to step up now with the injury to Rashee Rice. And, Kareem Hunt looks like he's going to be the lead back with Samaje Perine because Carson Steele, after that fumble, they just didn't use him. So, But yeah, I got the Chiefs at 2. And then at 1, the Minnesota Vikings. And they have looked like the best team in football. I think if they played the Chiefs right now, I think they would beat them, honestly. And again, you look at the schedule that the Vikings had going into the season. Did you really expect them to be 4-0 at this point? Kind of expect them to be 1-3. But you know what? It's a credit to this roster. It's a credit to the coaching. It's a credit to Sam Darnold. I did not expect Sam Darnold to play this good. But he has played like an MVP candidate. He's one of the top candidates for MVP at the moment. But you know what? It makes sense. Because they have a good roster. They have a very good defense. And you got, Aaron Jones running the football well for them. That was a good signing, bringing him in. Justin Jefferson's healthy. They got Jordan Addison back. And TJ Hawkinson's just around the corner. So you're going to get him back too. So you talk about, where are the wins coming from with the Vikings before the season started. Well, where are the losses coming from? They're taking on a Jets team this week that, is a little banged up, did not protect Aaron Rodgers well. The Vikings, I think, are going to win that game. But who knows? Anything can happen. I mean, they very easily could have lost the game against the Packers. Packers, if the turnovers weren't a factor in the game, Packers, I think, win that game. And if their field goal kicker can make field goals, Vikings could be 3-1, but they're not. So I think right now they're the best team in football. And maybe they're not going to be number 1, but right now, they're on their way to, at least securing a playoff spot, the way this first quarter of the season has gone. And again, look at the opponents that they've done it against, excluding the Giants, the 49ers, the Texans, and then the Packers in Lambeau. They're a good team, and they're well coached. And again, it really does make you wonder, if Sam Darnold continues to play like this, what is going to happen with J.J. McCarthy? We got ways to go before that, but if Sam Darnold continues to play like this, Vikings got a tough decision to make. So, before we wrap up here, just to run through it again. So, at number 5, the Bills. 4, the Lions. 3, the Ravens. 2, the Chiefs. And then at 1, I got the Minnesota Vikings. So, let me know what you guys think about my top 5. What would your top 5 be? So, with that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows. Give the other shows some love, like I always say. And yeah, that is it. So until next time, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.